All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to a special. I miss these, man. Destination edition of the Happy Hour Show. We're gonna have a just a cool little chat, cool little panel on for you guys tonight. I'm so excited. Um, First off, I mean, we got Big K waiting in the wings, but we'll go just a little clockwise here because I'm gonna start with this guy, Brandon, aka Rags to Riches, coming off, and I was the replay gang, so I didn't catch it live, but coming off an outstanding interview with Patrick and Grant from the Highest of Stakes last night. That was just absolutely wonderful. I encourage anybody watching this who hasn't seen it already, go watch it. But how are you, and how was that experience? And tell us all about it from your side.
Man, I'm good. I really feel good for everybody in the community who's stuck with this through the entire bear market. Just to have a day like yesterday, when things are pumping, it gives people's emotions up. It gives them a little bit of hope. And we've seen it before if you've been in crypto, but some people haven't. So that was really nice. So that felt good. And then yesterday, man, talking to those two folks, I'll be honest, man, I prepared, but right before we went live, I didn't really know how it was going to go. I had a rough game plan, but I think God pulled it all together for me, and it ended up pretty nice. So, yeah, it was great, man. I feel fortunate to be able to talk to those folks.
Outstanding. And as you mentioned there casually, it usually all does come together in the end, some way or another.
Yeah.
You know. And another guy who I know feels the same way, right downstairs. How you doing, Steve Hitson? You have been. We were just joking in the green room. I was, you were one of my favorite PulseChain, PulseX Twitter threads. Back in when we thought maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, thought we were gonna, close to getting this thing, and he took some time off. And now that we actually have something to talk about, you're putting out just great informational content on Twitter. Great analysis. We're going to get into some of those topics, but how are you? How you been? What you been up to?
Yeah, just well, obviously not posting a lot of content until recently, and even then, I took down a lot of my videos from YouTube. I think I've had a lot of a lot to do, right? Life is good, right? We joke around about touching grass, but there is a lot to do, right? And I mean, crypto's not everything, so sometimes we can get pretty wrapped up into it. For me, and I was joking around with you guys. You guys, out of anybody, and a lot of you out there, know how much work this takes. I mean, it's a lot to put content out, especially quality stuff, right? Not just regurgitating something or clickbait and things like that. Good content is hard to put out. So I think after a lot of speculation and things like that, we're back at it, right? I mean, we got a product, we got charts, we got plenty of them, we got coins, we got anything you can want.
Lots of coins, and the coins keep coming, and a lot of them aren't even out yet, right?
That's right, and I love the math of it. So that's really where I get it. I like, I'm getting into the LPs. I'm looking at that stuff, and that's where I get excited. And at some point, I do want to share with people. I mean, that's really all I want to do is share what I understand and then share with others. So
well, I was telling people, chat here, that I see Steve's stuff, man, and I just freaking study it, man, and I'm so appreciative. And I wanted to tell everybody publicly here, because I told you in the green room, but man, I really appreciate the stuff that you put out, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, especially from you.
Yeah, and there's a lot still to be learned. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of moving parts still, especially with like the ink token. I mean, we went back and forth on Twitter a little bit with, different people have different math and inflation calculations and all that stuff. So there's a lot to still be found / learned and all that. 100%. So it's going to be a fun ride, as we've predicted for months, if not years now, and it's just going to keep on going. So while we wait on Big K in here, I guess I'll save the first topic, because I got a list of topics. Like, if you've never seen these Destination Happy Hour streams, obviously, I try to work with the light and wind and audio conditions that I have. So I usually just throw a topic list together and, get a panel on that, can really, chat this up and, be informative. And obviously these guys are, been putting out, if not, streams content on Twitter about a bunch of stuff, if not everything we're going to talk about tonight. So I'll hold off on the high stakes for just a minute or two. But let's get to the big news this week or just overall in the crypto landscape, not even, Richard Hart ecosystem or HEX or anything like that. But I guess I'll start with you, Rags. This XRP thing, significant. I've seen some people talk it down. I can understand why they're talking it down, because it wasn't just an overwhelming hammer down that, the all clear is given. But I think this is bigger than a lot of even the skeptics are saying here. But I'd like your thoughts and then Steve's on it.
Dude, this is huge, man. This is really big because it actually does define what's legal and then I guess what's not legal as per the existing regulations. So Ripple's practice of actually selling XRP, the court, they didn't see Ripple's practice of putting XRP on exchanges and then funding their operations through those sales as any sort of investment contract. Okay, so in terms of the Howey test, that's very significant. Therefore, it's not considered security. One of the problems when you read the documentation, the employee compensation with token, that was also something that was brought up, and the court basically said, hey, the act of Ripple compensating their employees with token is also not a security, and even offered on exchanges in the ICO phase was not. Okay, so the biggest thing here is the fact that when they did directly sell Ripple under a sort of investment contract to private parties, that actually was considered security. But now we have a separation, and regular people probably aren't going to get screwed now in any sort of way. And the bigger thing here is Coinbase is fighting the SEC as well, and this throws a huge wrench, in my opinion, in the court case that the SEC has against Coinbase as well.
Yeah, and as Eagle AI points out here, echoing your point, or you're echoing him, whatever. I mean, it's huge for Coinbase. They relisted it in one day, LOL, and so did Binance.us and everything. I think that's like, a huge thing that I think a lot of people haven't even thrown into the equation yet. And yes, I know my audio guys, but I'm trying to bring you pretty much everything.
It's not bad, dude. It's not bad.
Picture. I know, but they love to give me crap in the chat. So, yeah. Emerald Coast, Sith Master, Gulf Coast, but not Panhandle this time. But I do love the Emerald Coast. Maui, always giving me crap. Can someone please send Cabana a microphone that blocked outside noises? How about this one?
Oh, yeah.
Right, there we go.
Is that a Fresca? Oh, not a Fresca.
This is a Kona Big Wave, the beverage of happy hour champions. So anyway, Steve, your take on this whole Ripple thing, and Rags started bringing it up there at the end. I did have a thread up here from I think it was Walter Bloomberg. People are like Google Play. They've immediately changed their policy on tokenized digital assets. They're now allowing NFTs and apps and games. Just it so happens to be the day after this. So I don't think that's coincidence. Are the floodgates opening? Or your overall take on this situation?
Well, I think first off, let me just give a shout out to anybody that out there, any of my XRP army that bought the top at $3.16 in 2017. Because if you're still holding in, you're the epitome of what we need in crypto as far as it goes about holding. I'm joking, but I seriously got friends out there when we were first getting in. I mean, they are still holding, and God bless them. But unfortunately, I love it. I think it's a great thing for crypto overall. Very obviously, Rags broke it down great there. I'm not going to rehash that. I think we saw a good pump. I think, unfortunately, with a lot of things, it's typically going to be a sell the news event type thing. And so, it's good. Long term, it's great. I think we're going to see I mean, like you said, now we at least have something to go by, something we can play some rules with. I think there is some concern to be had with the VCs, dumping things like that. Again, they're not stupid, but and they've been holding a long time too, right? And probably don't need money that much. But anyways, profits are going to be taken. I think look at everything pumping from it, right? I mean, we can't argue with that. I think PulseChain's, even the whole ecosystem, every ecosystem pumped because of it. Obviously, the last couple of hours, we are seeing a pullback that, if we don't hold at 30K Bitcoin, we'll see where we go. But because again, I got retail people hitting me. I mean, XRP won yesterday, and I got people coming all out the woodworks. That is typically a sell signal. So take it with what you will. I'm not a financial advisor.
I hear you, and I usually tend to agree with that, but this has been so long awaited that, yeah, it could be an immediate sell signal, but long term, I think this is
100%.
far more bullish. The bullishness long term will override that. Yeah, sure. I mean,
2
people
to 3. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
people who've got to pop on it,
good.
take it, but yeah.
I would sell all your XRP for PulseChain if I was you. Anybody out there that's watching should do that. You're going to do a lot better.
One of the things I found
Not
interesting last week, the outflows for Bitcoin miners to exchanges increased like threefold. And I find that very interesting because it's almost like they knew this news was going to come out and now they're getting out of the market. And then that's just huge implications. It's like, how would they know that judgment's coming out? Inside information, whatever. Or maybe they knew this ruling was coming today and they were just preparing for it. But the biggest takeaway for me here is, as you guys and people in chat have been through a couple cycles here, this is a transition period between bear to bull. So you'll go sideways. You'll see these 100%, 30%, 50% pumps for a week, and then you see the sell-offs. But the sell-offs are a little bit higher than those lows, and that's just how the market starts. I'm going to make a word here, parabolizing over the next, who knows, 12 to 18 months. This is how this process works. So just be very, very careful, folks, and try not to get chopped up here. You've gone through the entire bear market. Don't lose it now.
There you go. That's a great point. I'm not trying to get people to sell their long bags. That's not what I meant. You're right.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking to you specifically. Yeah. I got a lot of folks in my chat that, what should we do, man? Should we go all in this
every day, right?
Stick to your plan. Just stick to your plan. You've come this far. So
Big K.
Who is this man?
You didn't even miss the first topic. Perfect timing.
Perfect. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good to hear, dude.
Good, man, life is good. Let me usually try to share like a little view here.
Yeah.
When able, but how you been, man? We've been talking to Hitson Rags kind of about current events, XRP-ish to get a slow start. Delving in here. But any takes on this? Because short version, I think it's very long-term bullish. Yeah, people might sell the top here, but I think it might not be the all clear, but it has pretty huge implications for retail.
It does. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm sure anybody who's been waiting for years with bags of that stuff is super stoked. So, it's only a positive development for everybody. So I'm stoked on it. It's stoked so far. Like I said, it's tentative, I'm sure there's still more to go, appeals and all the rest, I'm sure, but it looked good.
Well, now we got you here, man. So we start off the show, and I was.
If you're doing what I was thinking you're gonna do, I'd like to do the same. Brags, sir, fantastic interview. You really set the bar pretty high for everybody else that's trying to interview those gentlemen along this route. Because cheers to that, man. That was awesome. I mean, I started listening to a little bit of it last night, and before I knew it, it was 1 a.m, and I was like, oh shit. So it was good. That was great. Y'all did an awesome job.
I just wanted to show up for the community, man, and just be a good ambassador. So thank you very much.
course,
man.
dude, of
I
course.
appreciated I haven't done guest interviews in a while. Like every now and then, maybe a few over the past year or two. So it's always interesting to see. I call them guests in quotes. I mean, granted, they know a lot more about crypto now, but welcoming somebody who isn't always on stream like you guys, and knows the lingo and the assets in and out, and for you to provide some entertaining elements that speaks to my heart, because you like to see that side of people. Just something to be very casual, like icebreakers and stuff like that. Not necessarily, we all expect, that we all want the good stuff, the answers to the juicy questions, but it's also cool to get a feel for their personalities and stuff like that. And I think you did a great job of that too.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we have so many awesome streamers in this community, and we kind of all learn from each other too. So it might have been something in the back of my head. I was like, first time I came on Cabana's show and we had that trivia thing, and that kind of like softened me up a little bit and broke me in, and so yeah, it's good, man. We all learn from each other, and I'm sure a part of that has something to do with you too, quite honestly. So thank you, man.
Oh, you're too kind. Shout out to Crypto Heartbeat, who just also talked to the boys as well, and get some shout outs in the chat there. So I may have to watch that one later. Yeah,
he's interviewed me. He's a good interviewer, so I'm sure that's a good one too. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet.
Yeah, I was actually listening to Brandon's stream, and I in the car, and I found myself, I think, laughing when you were doing the game or the icebreaker in the beginning. But I was like laughing so hard that like all of a sudden I realized, like, I looked around and like someone was like, it felt like somebody was looking at me and was going to catch me. Like, what is this guy doing by himself over here?
Yeah, that was good. It was a good.
Nice. So, talking the highest of stakes, now that we have Big K, and what glass is that? What is in that glass? Is it Big K Rosé?
It is not a Big K Rosé.
Looks dark to be a rosé.
It was actually a glass of French wine. It's Chateau Neuf de Pape is the region that it's from, and if anybody knows like French wines, that area, I mean, is fantastic. Like it's like the Napa Valley of France. Everything that comes out of there is pretty freaking kick-ass. So I was stoked to see it at the store, and it's delicious today. So.
The Napa Valley of France, or is Napa Valley the France of the United States?
That's true. That's true. It's really the other. I mean, it's just from my perspective. I learned the Cabernets first, and now I'm starting to venture into French stuff. But yes, it's delicious. So, anyways, a little more medium body than what I'm used to. A little easier drinking for a nice summer day here.
Nice. All right.
So let's get into it.
So
we're here. Something has been announced. Stuff is happening.
It's the highest of Ks. I don't know if you have anything with you to brand it properly, but I teased that on Twitter, the highest of Ks joke. If you watched the show before, and anyway, thoughts, feelings. Now that you can finally talk about it, man.
Dude,
first of all, it was cool AF to see you like in the actual trailer. So many Hexkins, but for somebody who I've met a bunch of times now and do a show with, it's like, I know that guy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So how's it feel for it to be out? I was also, just selfishly disappointed because I thought you were going to be in Florida for the premiere. Chicago was lucking out because they're going to get you coffee, SJ. So yeah,
they are super. Like Chicago is super lucking out. My initial plan was going to be to go from like Miami the 3rd, Tampa the 4th, Chicago the 5th, but they really wanted somebody to be like a brand ambassador for each location. And so like once I started setting up, event coordination, bars, and before and after parties, I was like, I probably should be. It's going to be really tight for me to be at one and then the other and then the other. So I understood their logic and sounded good. So no, I won't be in Tampa, but
is there a list of ambassadors for each city that's out there?
Yes.
Because I would. Okay, where is that?
There is. I can get any of the named. I have it, but like we didn't share it with anybody. But I could share it. I think that I'll ask the highest stakes people today right now if
or just send it
I can share it. Yeah, and I'll, for sure, because there's somebody at most every location that'll be there. Hopefully welcoming Hexicans and getting people that are coming excited to enjoy the movie together. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know the last time I was in like a jam-packed movie theater on an opening night of anything where everyone's like seriously excited to see a movie. Like I don't know. I forget what that
Let's
feeling is
go.
like.
The Top Gun sequel was my last one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that before that it was a long time, but I was jacked to see that. It actually lived up to expectations. But yeah, I know what you mean though. Like it's that feeling you can't. It's very rare to get that in a theater nowadays.
For me, it was,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was Fern Gully. You guys remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but that's for real. And it's like, and you know, it'll be a fun meetup too. You know, so like each area, like I know that at least for us in Chicago, I've got a spot planned right next door to the venue that we'll be all meet up. I have about an hour and a half beforehand, so we can all have a drink and enjoy each other's company beforehand. So I feel like that, you know, those kinds of things will make it even better because everybody will meet Hexicans from their area, you know, on their way in, and then really enjoy it with each other. You know, during I mean, and it's a pretty epic. Like it's pretty hard to not like. I'm a big part of me is not really worried about everybody liking it or not. Like I'm like it's an awesome movie. Like it's going to be hard for everyone to be like this sucks. So I'm super excited to have everybody seeing it. I really can't wait. So. Yeah, we're all going to be able to do it. Like I said, it's cool to see how well everyone's reacted to it. And we've added 8 or 9 more locations and, 6 or 8 more shows to it too, Sunday shows and stuff. So that's super awesome. I mean, there's just not, Patrick was saying it to you. How often does there a documentary get to have that kind of play? Like it's just not. I don't know. It's a big pay doing a pre-party. There might be a pre-party in Chicago. We're still working out the details there, Freddie. Give me just a minute or two. But as soon as I have it all lined up, there should be some festivities beforehand each night. But yeah, so I mean, it really feels great to like have it happening and people wanting to be there and then seeing all these sellout spots. Like no documentary gets to sell out multiple locations at a theater nationwide. It's a great feeling. So I'm really excited about where we're going with it.
And really, there is no excuse for most, if not all, these to be sellouts. Like I know how powerful this community is. I know that Hexicans are in big cities across the country. I know that you probably have access to tickets, which are pretty darn affordable as far as I can tell. I know you have friends. I know you have family. So maybe why not pick up some tickets for those people and convince them to go, or you see them at parties, you see them out. Hey man, want to come to this premiere with me? It's a premiere. How often do you get to go to a premiere event? So there's no excuse for us to just totally blow this out all weekend long, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it really leverages like the thing that we have to really impress people. I mean, Patrick mentioned it when he was talking to Rags, that like we have this amazing community. We get to showcase it. We get to showcase it in a way that most movies, especially independent ones that are doing theater runs like this, you just can't leverage that. They have no way of. I mean, it's all advertisement based at that point in time. They don't have a huge network of people already ready to go that are chomping at the bit to be able to see whatever they're putting out. So like, I mean, I think this is it's an awesome, it's awesome because we get to get it out to people, and it's awesome because it gets to, I mean, execs, streaming execs and all the rest, this is what they pay attention to. So like, having them be able to see concrete numbers for this kind of thing is awesome. And to see them come back so positively already, is fantastic. I mean, we basically made Regal implement DDoS Cloudflare that day when we
cool.
when we started blitzing their site. So it's awesome. I mean, they're impressed.
Yeah, and I know you have some tentacles in the music biz as well. I've made a vague comparison, but I think it's somewhat accurate. It's like those first week's album sales. People look at that. And even book sales, like if you hit the bestseller list, this opening weekend, you only get one shot at it. And if you blow the doors off of it, that opens up, a whole slew of opportunities in the near term that just magnify what we could accomplish with a streaming platform in the long term.
Yep, that's 100% true. There's it reminds me, this is a weird comparison, but it reminds me a lot of like because we have the community already there, so like ready to go for this. It reminds me of, in music world, of Metallica, actually, because one of the people don't realize that like they were a San Francisco band, and there was a huge tape trading scene that arose on like the West Coast back in the 80s, mostly because of the Grateful Dead. They tape trade live shows, and so before Metallica even had their first album drop, there was already 50,000, 60,000 people that had access to their live shows on tape. So like when Kill 'Em All came out for the first time, I mean, it was sold out everywhere because they had, and people couldn't believe why. They were like execs and everybody was blown away because they didn't expect there to be that kind of user base already, built into it. So us having that gives us the opportunity to really blow minds, because there was tons of metal bands coming up in the 80s at that point in time on the West Coast, and they really blew everyone out of the water with those numbers. It was you couldn't deny it. So that's what I'm hoping that we can show everybody here, is that like it's really undeniable how big of a community we have.
Is this the first time that this has been done on this scale since Bitcoin was birthed? I mean, has anybody done it like this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of any documentary that's been. I mean, I've seen some other crypto documentaries, but just like Patrick had said, they're not genre bending.
No,
they're not. They're and they're by the book boring.
And generalized.
Yeah, and by the time they come out, a lot of times they're already like. I mean, the Netflix Bitcoin one that they had out was like, it felt super dated when it came out. I think that this is going to feel super fresh when it comes out.
Yeah, I made the comment when this got released and we saw the trailers, like the 13 different trailers. I said, guys, I don't think we understand, like we're peering into the void right now. I mean, this is the calm before the storm. This thing gets released, we're going to get it's going to be like we're going to get all the worst things possible times 10 and all the best things possible times 10 all at the same time. And to have access to movie theaters and to scale out that way, and to realize that well done movies with great sound and all these things really move people and attach people emotionally. It's like, I just want to shake people and be like, you don't understand what this is. You don't understand the power of what this could be. So I'm trying to shake people right now on Twitter and YouTube and all that. It's huge.
It is.
The saying is, what is it? You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Right.
So here we go. Like, this is it. Like, this is our shot. So,
Yep.
Well, y'all mentioned Big K. Let me ask you something that you might know. So, I mean, like when it came out, right, I was probably one of the people that helped like DDoS the whole website down, because I was like on there trying to buy tickets, and then I was trying to buy more than I could buy, and should I buy the whole theater? Like, what should I do here? I don't really want to do that necessarily, but I did. I bought 12 tickets because it was like you said, at least going to be able to give away. I mean, I have 12 in my head right now. I can think of that I want to go. So I'm going to fill as many as I can, but I did want to give other people a chance to buy them. I mean, I would buy it out if it would help, but I didn't want to just buy out a theater for me and 12 of my friends. You know what I mean? I wanted to give other people just a chance to see the movie, or like I think I just saw Freddie saying, like, call the local radio station, try to give them away, give creative ways to give them away. But, I mean, some cities sold out, right? Like, so I'm in Jacksonville. We're not selling out. We do need, like, Saturday showing need more ticket buys. I would buy them for the sake of buying them if it would help overall, right? But last thing I want is to buy all the tickets and nobody's there actually doing it.
No,
I think there's plenty of time for that too. I mean,
right.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we'll be pretty pleasantly surprised. I mean, I just but
would it help?
Jacksonville, actually, no. I
mean, they were bought out.
I think that at the end of it all,
at the very end.
Yeah, I think that I would imagine that if they end up all bought out at the end, it would be a good thing, Okay. But yeah, I'd like to give as many. I was in the same boat where I'm like doing all the math on it all. I'm like, it's actually not that many people that are going to get to see. Exactly. It's not that impossible. So like, yeah, I mean, but I'm excited to have more people see the movie. And I think that, driving like actual, what is it? Like, grassroots revenue, where we're going to have like, it'll be impressive just to have people see just the theater full of people, excited for it. So like, I would love for that to be the case. Although win, lose, or draw, I'd love to see them all sell out. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but yeah, I would like to, wait till the very end.
The only thing that could have been better if Regal would have launched him as an NFT on PulseChain.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
we'll get there, Regal. Call me if you need help.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, that's not actually bad. I mean, how long could that take to put together?
I'm sure somebody, Minshire will help us.
It's not a bad idea. It's like licensing stuff, and then it's like, who are we actually talking to with that? We're mostly probably talking to ourselves. They're like, oh, I'll get the NFT. Like we want to talk to no coiners who have no idea what the fucking NFT. Yeah.
I don't know. You have to make it super easy. Internet money. Get out there and do something. Come on, what are you guys doing? No,
but I'm
awesome.
all about it.
I'm so excited for it, man. That's like, yeah, I want to bring everyone. My dad, like everybody's coming with me. I can, so I will. That's what I'll be doing. The only issue I have now is that I'm not 100% sure, but I have a friend that might be taking me down to the Miami one.
Oh, nice, nice.
Premiere night.
I just sent a couple people y'all's way, Big K and Steve Hitson. I got a lot of folks in Jacksonville, and they're Hexicans. So I told them to hit y'all up. So maybe y'all can coordinate, get better turnout and stuff.
Nice.
100%.
Yeah. I just started working on it today. Because when I saw that Jacksonville wasn't that high, I went to school in Jacksonville for a couple of years, so I got a bunch of friends out there.
Cool.
Oh, really? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You swoop. UNF, man.
Oh, wow. Let's go. I mean, I've been out here for almost all my life, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, I was in Tampa for a long time. So when I got a chance to do school, I was like, oh, cool. Long story of it was I convinced like most of our class to go to Florida State, and then I didn't get in. So there's like 40 of my friends. They were like, we're all going to Florida State. And I was like, yeah, I hate you guys. So I went to Jacksonville instead. It was great.
I had the privilege of being in Tallahassee when Florida State beat Florida in football.
Oh, man.
And that was a fun night. There were dancing on cars, mattresses burning in the streets, things getting flipped over.
Hanging from the light poles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tallahassee knows how to party.
Yeah. Panhandle, man.
Happy weekend.
They know what's up over there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Russ, that's you, Russ, and Freddie. I see you talking in chat. Yeah, that's definitely the Russ that we met at one of the Hexican meetups. So yeah, cool stuff there. Yeah, tickets, man. I mean, we can do this. I think it's easier than what people are making it out to be. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really not. It's most of those theaters aren't even 100 seats. Most of them, 100 seats, 30, venues, twice over is not that many tickets to sell. So I'm pretty positive about it all. I think that we're going to be super excited when it actually happens, and lots of people are going to be feeling it out there. So like I said, I'm already setting up pre-party stuff, and should be a whole fun weekend. I mean, I'm really excited about it for everybody to get a chance to come out and see it, and then hopefully, like I said, from there, I can't wait to get everybody else in the whole rest of the world to be able to see it too, and all the rest. But I think that this is really the best. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have been so positive on this plan if it was like just for Hexicans to see the movie. Like, I think that this is going to be the best way for us to like really reach the most people and start it off like with start the ball rolling in the right direction. So, I mean, we could have ended up on just streaming platforms, but Patrick touched on it a bit more. Like, we have a premium product, and we want to make sure that people are very aware. That there's a lot of people out there excited to have a piece of this and be able to watch it. So, yes, I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's really pretty surreal for me. I mean, this whole experience has been pretty wild. I'm definitely not a movie guy. I haven't, I've done music stuff, but very different realm, and this is one of those. It's there forever. Everyone can see it forever as it is, kind of thing. So, I must say I look pretty good in it all. So I'm I can't wait.
I made a mildly homosexual comment in one of my streams about your eyes, Big K.
They are pretty. Oh man. Yeah, we had a lot of fun filming it, and
can't hear you, Cabana.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't usually get to see the Big K eyes; they're always behind the shades. So
yeah.
Who is this man?
They're a special treat for the audience.
I guess one last thing before we close this loop and get on to more crypto stuff is like we actually have like the seating maps of every theater. Like you can tell what seats are left, so you don't have to follow the Highest of Stakes Twitter account or Richard's updates or Big K's updates or Kinetics or whoever. Just if you're curious about what that theater layout looks like, go to like the Regal website, go to the Regal app, and it'll show you how many are left. And that's what we have to, work with as, what are we, 3 weeks away now? So, hopefully like this time next week, we're pretty much sold out pretty much everywhere. But those interested in maybe like purchasing tickets for friends, family, doing giveaways and stuff like that, maybe like this time next week, you start looking at that thing and be like, all right, they're most of the charts I saw, like it's mainly the front rows that are like really open. Like a lot of the really good seats are taken, and you'll find a one or two for every now and then. But some of the major markets, I mean, they're either gone or they're close to gone now.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how many we've already sold out. It's really super cool. Like I said, I was it's one of those things where you've got something awesome. We know we have an awesome community, but before we actually say go on it, I'm still like, okay, how's this going to go? To sort of see what's here now 2 days later. And it has been a total whirlwind, like my if Patrick and their phones haven't been, Twitters and Telegrams haven't been going off the hook crazy. I mean, even mine is too. So like, I mean, it's been a fast few days, and I'm excited to it's going to be cool to see how quickly we all sell out, and then what we can do from there, how much more they add and everything. It'll be great.
This is what it looks like, man. This is the shot. This is the opportunity. And the force multiplier here is the fuel of the Bitcoin halvening in the bull market. Yes. That is so huge. So huge. And did you hear what he said last night when I was doing the fun time and I'm showing him the images, and I showed a image of the Tiger King, and he says Richard Hart's going to be the Tiger King of crypto.
That was what Grant said in inspiration, is he was like, that's where I remember them like early on us talking about that. And I was like, you hit the right guy, it's definitely the thing that's nicer about this is that, you've got a little bit of everything. So like, it's, the Tiger King, like when I look back at that, I don't know who I'd want to be. Like, who would you want to actually be in that documentary? Like, who would you, if you had to be one of those characters?
Probably a tiger. I want to be a tiger. That's about it.
Yeah. But nobody really comes off looking that great. Whereas I feel like it's a more fair assessment here. Where I'm not saying that like Richard comes off looking perfect, but like neither is it like a total railroad job of anybody either. So like, I think that it's controversial and that's fun. It'll definitely get people talking. That's awesome too. But I think it's more uplifting overall than Tiger King.
Well, here's what's crazy about that. The word Tiger King came out of a sitting U.S. president's mouth during that Netflix series. So Trump talked about Tiger King. And
yeah.
So that's that, and that's like the effect that I'm trying to tell people. Like, so many people are going to see this. People are going to talk about it, man, and it's just going to blow up. So I love it.
Oh yeah,
that
part's exciting and strange for me too. We'll see. I've got a pretty focal point in the movie, so mid-level
focal point in the movie. Yeah, just a little focal point in the movie. All right.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. It's not. It's not like I'm not like the majority of anything. I'm a good chunk, but like it's not like
You're in the trailer, sir. You are a focal point. Yeah. I'm just giving you crap. So.
I love that the audio clips that they took for the trailer of me are like when they're like, Richard, he's arrogant, he's this, he's what. They're like all other ones that are like talking shit about him are all my clips.
As you have done on this stream, many times, telling classic stories, and I love that they're also brought up in this trailer.
Oh yeah, we get to do it all. We get to. There's some really I don't even want to ruin things because like there's some really poignant moments for me that we got on camera that are super cool for everyone to see. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. Can I have your autograph? Yeah, Sexy Quinn. You can definitely have my autograph at a theater near us. August 4th and 5th.
Before we move on, I got your theme song, BK. Here we go.
Oh yeah,
Did I hear Eminem?
Shot. Yeah,
But not too much because we'll get a strike. Oh man! All right, so as I see, finally my battery life is just starting to precipitously drop. Let's go through these topics that we have. So we've covered highest of stakes and touched on some news. Rags, I think you brought up the newsworthiness of the Bitcoin cycle.
Yeah.
And maybe let's just touch on this before we get more into the actual coins and RH ecosystem for the second half of the show. But this Mashinsky stuff, what better timing with this and the highest of stakes release, right? I mean, it was such a big news week in the past 36 hours. And this Mashinsky thing is just, you have a guy that he's been calling to be arrested or is the scammer. And I said this on Twitter last night. It was like, oftentimes, I mean, even in politics today, it's the evil people who project what they're doing onto other people and what they are guilty of doing, or and that's has proven to be the case with this Mashinsky stuff. So your take on that?
Dude, I mean, it's huge. It's interesting how so many things can line up and just execute all at the same time. You talked about Google Play lifting the crypto game ban. Another thing for our folks there in Australia, the SEC in Australia received its first spot Bitcoin ETF application. That's huge for Australia. Another thing that is massive is that technically we are only 1% away from the inflation target that the Fed has set forth as well. That's massive news that I don't really see anybody in crypto Twitter talking about. I think because it's been gobbled up by so many other things, XRP, the Bitcoin halving, this is just, man, everything aligns.
Grayscale premium is coming down a whole bunch too.
Dude, Grayscale premium. So, and obviously Richard's always said that, the bull market's not going to come back until we're at least headed up or towards zero for that premium. So guys, this is what it looks like, man. I mean, give yourself a pat on the back. I definitely think we're past halfway, and just stick to your plan and hold on and take these wins and really fill your cup back up, because a lot of people have been emotionally drained. So Mashinsky, here's the thing, man. I don't ever trust anything that's happening at the federal level. I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be interesting. Here's what's interesting. If Mashinsky is a rat, it'll be interesting to see what comes out from that. And if it has anything to do with politicians, it may not come out, except a lot of people don't like Gary Gensler right now. A lot of people don't like the stance that the federal government has on crypto. So maybe the oncoming administration kind of uses this as inertia and leverage to get more votes and on the side of the crypto folks, because the whole, BlackRock, Larry Fink today, he gets back on the broadcast and just is shilling cryptocurrency like crazy as well. So craziness, man, craziness. What a difference a week could make. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I have to say that the 3% thing is going under the radar, and it's funny because there's only a few times that I could find that the Fed raised rates, and we did actually have that soft landing that we found. Yep. I think it was in the 80s was the last time that they raised rates. They didn't have to actually cut them like everybody assumes they'll have to get it back on track. And everybody talks crap about it, and I'm not a big fan of the Fed at all, but maybe they through inflation and then leveling everything out, maybe they do manage to stick it for a while, and we could take off again. I think especially when you start talking about politics, I don't think we're going to let everything collapse before election time next year. So I mean, and that's basically when we're talking about real bull market, you want to see fireworks, that end of next year, 2025 should be fireworks.
It's all coming together. Yeah,
I know. I don't know how. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just how low, how much low. I mean, the only thing you got to just stick to your guns, right? Don't give up. It's one more year.
Steve,
don't forget that
you made a good point. You made a good point about how politicians don't like to screw up the economy during election years. They just don't want that baggage while they're campaigning. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in the legislation to balance, or I guess to keep the government going with the budget negotiations, they voted not to have that conversation for 24 months.
Yes, they did.
So that's just another added cool thing about the economy right now that just won't be friction at some point in the next year. So, I mean, super bullish, man. I mean, it's just beautiful. And the other point, and I created a tweet on this. The United States economy is so over leveraged that if there was ever an event where the stock market fell off the face of the map, they are going to turn the money. It's going to be the mother lode of all money printers. And they just turn that QE back on to stabilize the economy because it's so ever leveraged. They don't want a cascading event of liquidations. So, I mean, in a way, I think we survive this quote unquote recession. Do we survive the next one? I don't know. But here we are. Let's get it, and then be safe as a community at the very least.
Yeah, I agree with that, and again, I also agree with the sentiment. I'm not a huge fan of the Fed, but if they manage to achieve a soft landing, then and they broke only a few banks along the way, then I guess I'll give them I'll give a little credit where credit's due if that's where we end up. We'll see in another year or so. Because, I agree. We can kick. I mean, you always wonder how far we can kick the can down the road. It's not going to be forever, but I guess we were strong enough to live another day here. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
you put it great, Brandon. You said that they're not going to talk about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways,
it's fine. We'll put pin in
what's
that
that mean? Like no cap. Anyways.
Golf clap very softly, Sith Master Hex says. All right, so as my battery life dwindles here, we're still good for a while, but I do have a list of topics here. I want your all quick takes on, specifically, Steve, man. I got a couple for you because you put out some great Twitter threads lately. The one I wanted to get your first take on, we'll get into ink in a second, but you put out an onboarding for fiat tweet. Basically, it was like, hey, PulseChain fam, I tend to only trust the bridge to onboard new people, but it's proving to be a pain. What's the best fiat onboarding tool for U.S. residents? You put that out there. Any feedback that's of note that you found from that? What'd you glean from reaching out there?
Well, I got my daughter knocking on my door right now, so if I got to pause for just a second, I apologize. But real quickly, I think the biggest thing. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second, guys.
Oh, you're good.
I apologize.
It's all good. We will go to. This is called a pivot. Big K, how many fucks do you give about?
Man.
How about the pHUX ecosystem? Because we were joking in the green room before we got here. Arguably, it's performed technically and price chart wise better than PulseX, and I know it's going to trigger some people, but you can't go around it right now. It's true for now. So, any thoughts on this before we get back to Steve?
Well, I'll start with my first feeling about it. I love free coins. Huge fan. So the fact that I got free coins. Gosh, they're already a little place in my heart. Besides that, I mean, I think it's a cool, I think that the niche that they're really trying to attack of stablecoin swaps is something super important. I think all the little niches that their entire ecosystem is providing or will be providing are very important for the success of PulseChain long term. I think that people underestimate, they don't, sure, Ethereum's great, but it's great because it has these other tools that are all these trustless pieces of finance that you can actually interact with. You can get leverage trading positions. You can, take out longs and shorts and borrow, gain an APY on your, all those things are actually necessary. And you can see it just in the numbers. I mean, the products that they're forking, Aave, GMX, et cetera, are all large players with billions of dollars locked up in them, so like those are things that we would like to emulate. We want those tools to be accessible on Pulse, and we want them not only accessible on Pulse, but to be, to carry ticker symbols that we actually like and will be holding, because there's very little chance that in any near future that Aave or anything like that is going to be, coming over to Pulse, or for that matter, listing any HEX or PulseChain or any other assets that we specifically care about. So this offers us not, the stablecoin part of it's amazing. The fact that there's a lot more room for different pools than Richard's going to be very careful with what types of farms and pools they put the team puts on PulseX, whereas with PHUX anybody can add whatever kind of pools they want at any point in time. So the diversity that you're going to see there and deeper liquidity pockets that you're going to see because of that is super bullish. Like, that's fantastic. That's like what you need to entice anybody with any sort of actual real capital to come and play in our sandbox. So like I think that what they're offering and providing is, like I said, super useful. I mean, couldn't be. And there's a lot of people that you could have, and working on these projects, and the PH team, as they are all pretty awesome cats. So like I'm excited that those are the people that are working on these projects. So yeah.
Well said. So I want to get back to Steve before, we had a brief momentary interruption there, but this is the tweet, I pretty much read it earlier, but your reaction or feedback that you've gotten from the community, any good ideas regarding this?
So this is real life, in case anybody doesn't think it is. I mean, kids are knocking. This is how it goes. But anyways, and it's okay. But I will say that, I mean,
Big K knows this, by the way. We've had.
My family has
I had a friend of a
streams.
friend reach out, and basically they were like, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. They can do it. They're capable, tech savvy enough to get through the bridge." And that's how I do it. I don't mind doing it. Like, if I'm bringing money in and out, that's how I'm going to do it. That's just me. I don't mind doing it that way. And for now, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't know. I just trust Richard Hart. And not that I don't trust PulseX or any other ones. I just haven't tried it. So what I was really doing, I could have gone out and found it. I wanted my buddy I gave him the link to my post, and I knew that the community would help out, because that's how awesome we are, right? And so I just put it out there, and that was what I was hoping for. And I kind of also used it. I mean, you can see which one's got the most votes almost, right? I didn't use it as a poll, but if you go through it, you can see that PulseX got a lot. I think XOX Coast, or however that's pronounced. And so, yeah, there's a few of them that were out there that, I mean, again, I wasn't, aware of. So I thought it was just, again, a good opportunity. My buddy, again, I don't know which one he chose, but I'll find out. And it does help people. So, I mean, I don't know. There's probably other people too. It helped just by me doing that. So again, I think a lot of times, instead of me just us operating inside of our little bubbles, if we can find creative ways to help each other, and then while you're also helping who you need to. But anyways, that was the reason I put that post out there yesterday.
Cool.
PHUX, though, that's an interesting thing. Can I segue into that?
Yeah,
bounce off of what Big K was saying. So I don't have a lot. I love all this LP stuff. I embarrassingly can say I don't have a lot of experience. I did claim I love free stuff too. I did get my free stuff, and I staked it all and paired it with whatever I needed to get like the. I mean, again, so I'll say this about it. I love the UI. So there's a lot of cool things, like the cool, easy ways to see my coins. I can see my Texan token there. I can see my whatever, my PP, my whatever, all these coins I don't normally even see or whatever. I can see them all there, and it's very easy to access them. I thought that was cool. Filter the pools by them, things like that was really cool. The fact that you can make your own pools. My only thing with it was, and I love this, is that it seems like maybe a more game theory, more complicated than PulseX, more complicated than maybe some of the other dexes that I've played with, but it's or yield platform. So, but it's fun. I think it's awesome. I think there's a lot of great features. There's obviously some great game theory. They're 5X at this point or something like that. So kudos to the team, and I wish I would have paid more attention, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I was paying attention to their team a whole bunch, and I wasn't expecting PHUX to come. I honestly had very little to knowledge about it, even its existence, until it was right on the doorstep. So it was. I mean, I think that there was like an opportunity for them to push that forward first, and I'm glad that they did, because it's done super well. It's provided this awesome, like I said, liquidity pool where you can, if you want to swap stables, which I've actually found a couple times that I've needed to. So, getting much better deals on Pulse with that is cool. It's cool. It's good. It's good.
And who doesn't enjoy seeing their PP and PHUX anyway? So.
Yeah, all that. I mean, I think that their fatty, wallet viewer, that system is pretty cool too. I think that's
very
definitely awesome. I mean, being able to publicly or privately hold on to wallet addresses so that you can, everyone can, I fuck all the different, all the whales that are out there. Sure. I think that's a cool feature. I mean, I can't help but click around on it sometimes, so yeah, I think that they're doing great stuff, and like I said, totally necessary. So, I mean, kudos on them for doing what they're doing. Because I
saw Dylan in the chat as well, so shout out to him and the team there as well. So,
but it is something that is more complex. So I warn, I've warned people way ahead of time. Hey, be very careful. If you don't understand this stuff, if you're looking at, if I start speaking to you about it and you're looking at me super blank faced, then I'm like, just hang on to your free coins, just and that's just fine too. I'm not saying that everybody has to be a liquidity provider.
I think Motley says it well here. It's the perfectly complementary DEX to support the Richard Hart ecosystem. Definitely recommend. At least check it out. Like Big K said, if you don't rush in, but it's something worth learning about. So, all right, as we rush before the battery dies, I might have an alternative here. I might not be able to pull up chat if I pull it up and salvage another 30 minutes of the show, but we'll see. Steve, you put out a thread on Ink, and we were talking in the green room. It's kind of like this ever-evolving mystery token because there's different inflation maths and different takes on it and what people are doing with it and how they view it. Like it's a dump-only token or people are hoarding it. What was your feedback? Because I thought it was a great thread. You kind of ran through it. I'll pull it up here while you're talking.
Yeah, so you're gonna make me talk about it after it finally started pumping against Pulse, huh? Like after I told people that it might not do that, and it didn't do that for 30 days, and then now it's done it a few days over the last week. But I love the whole ecosystem. Let me make it very clear. And I do have some ink, and so I think for everybody out there that we post this stuff obviously to get people to think, right, and to cause people to talk about it. I do believe that there's some things that we should talk about with Ink and really any of these ecosystems that provide an incentive token of any sort. I think Richard's actually educating everybody on these systems by how he's doing it. I definitely didn't know as much about him until he created it, and I'm using something that I trust from him. But it's the same. What I can see is the same thing in all of them is if there's too much incentive, it sucks too much economic energy out of the system. And that was all I was really trying to say there. Do I think Ink can pump against dollar? Of course. Do I think it can pump against Pulse? Of course, I do a little bit. But I think I heard Coffee or some other people mention too. It's kind of like it's going to be hard because I think most people started PulseChain is the underlying L1. That's in my eyes one of the most valuable things that there could be. And how can a token that was created just to be an incentive on a platform be more valuable than that? So it's hard for me to understand it, but there are some things that I've realized could change. Like again, I mentioned, is there a half-life on the inflation or anything like that? So obviously there's different ways. You could just reduce the rate of which it's given out. There's some other things, game theory, of course, that could be implemented, but I think the key here is to just say that I think Richard knows all this. Of course he does. And so he's going to do what's best for the ecosystem that he understands it to be. And that's going to be probably to not let the ink price just crash and burn, but to keep it relatively good in comparison to whatever APYR needs to come out of the system. And that's just my thought on it. That's what I would do if I was in control, or I would want it to be stable, as stable as it could be. And I'd want it to be a decent payout for people, but not so much that it would just suck all the economic energy out of the system. Now, in the bull market, we can do a lot more. But again, I have no problem with it. I think people got to be careful when you start looking at those ink pools, because there's a lot more impermanent loss that can happen if you were holding ink at $60 and you just wrote it down to $6. It would have been one of the worst, would have been the most impermanent loss out of any of the pools that you would have experienced. So,
and that's why the APR is so high, right?
I mean, and it
has the most risk.
Now he's having to make it up there. But again, if you make it too good, then you incentivize the incentive token too much. Yeah. And it's this delicate balance. So I've learned all this recently. I mean, and I could be wrong. So let me point that out. So
yeah, I mean, I viewed it as like a risk on asset. So like to your point there, you were like, of course, well, you know, we get a pump and then ink outperforms. I think that's going to be the outperformer because I view that as a risk on token. Like PulseX and or ink are like the risk ons in my opinion. So we get like a full on pump out of nowhere. I think those guys will be the hardest pumps, but they might also be the hardest to come back as well. So they'll be the most volatile. But that's kind of how I view those. Go ahead.
My only challenge to anybody would be like, just do the math. If PulseX or Pulse and PulseX go 100x and the incentive token also goes 100x, what's the APR? And what you end up with is a really tough number to swallow. So
I do agree with that as well.
I think if we can take any hints from what else is going on around crypto, and you kind of look at PancakeSwap and you look at the proposals that they set forth to actually make their incentive cake deflationary and actually make it worthwhile, I would say that maybe sometime in the next year or two we see a PulseX V3, and with PulseX V3 we might see some upgrades to ink, and that's complete speculation, but that's my idea.
I agree, and I think I think he knows all the things that he could possibly do. Probably especially all the simple things that any of us that's already out there, right? That you can go look and see, and obviously burns and all this stuff you can do, but you just can't. I think you got to balance it, and so I think he knows that. I mean, that's just my guess. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, again, do the math.
While we're talking PulseX and we have the lovely logo by Big K there, he always likes to point out the logos that switch every now and then based upon topic of this show. Any feedback to our friend, your friend, my friend, Sami's tweets about V2 PulseX fees being disappointing and, you know, calling out Richard and PulseX. I just want to touch on this briefly. I experimented with them as soon as V2 was released. I just thought the math was absolutely horrible, not worth it, not worth doing. But I don't know if he stayed in longer than most before he realized the math, but it was never appealing to me. Like V1's been the way to go, especially if you have an incentivized pair. But any thoughts on V2 fees?
I mean, as long as you have those incentivized pairs on V1, I mean, then the only V2 reasons to play is for unincentivized things that people aren't mentioning. You know, or they're getting, and like the fees are going to be smaller on that than I think, you know, some of these other places. I mean, you probably can do those kinds of a lot of those swaps on the platform we're just recently talking about, and get a better deal. I'm not sure if that's going to be, like you said. I think that a V3 rags that you mentioned, you know, in the future that has some upgrades to incentive token and kind of marries the system, everything back together, I think will come eventually. You know, but But I also don't think that, I think that his Sami's, the numbers that he was saying were, it was off by, I don't know if it was it Tanto that like had some, the catcher that had some, that did a breakdown on that and was like, it's not actually as off as he thinks it is. I think, like, I don't think that we're actually, you're losing any money on fees or anything like that. You know,
Dip catcher,
think,
yeah.
I just think that that it's just not as much as people were hoping it was going to be. I don't think that there's any bad math there or anything going on.
I think that is the case as well. What else we got here? A couple more topics before we go. So, I don't know. I think you're really getting into polarizing territory with this one. But this is what we talk about on this show. We talk about the fun stuff. I call this the HEX Scout bailout.
Oh, I knew we were going to get into this.
Yeah, huh? So we got our boy, is it Mikey, in the highest of stakes. So everybody knows it by now. Like it when we saw the original, I guess, footage, trailers, whatever. He's the guy with the beard and nice wife, kids, family, and purchased HEX. I think it was over 40 cents or something like that. And it's a, I haven't seen the movie. I've purposely not watched many of the teasers of it, just the main trailer, just because I don't like things to be spoiled. That's just how I roll. But I would assume that this is, a fairly decent little storyline in the movie, just by my movie watching experience. So HEX Scout generously offered, I think it was 400,000 or 800,000 pHEX to, is his name Mikey?
Mikey, yeah, Mikey.
Okay. And there are differing viewpoints on here. One view is I see both sides of it. People call me the Switzerland of crypto and make fun of me for it, but that's how I am. I can see the fact that yes, he put his face out there, put his wallet out there knowingly or unknowingly, and is now like the subject of much attention, perhaps they didn't even want or desire. And so perhaps, that triggers a feeling of generosity in people to be like, you know what, I feel bad for this guy. There's that side. The other side, which I'm also understanding of, and probably more understanding of, just because I've made my share of mistakes, and I know so many people, pretty much everyone who has ever invested has made their share of mistakes, is, that's how you learn from them, and you make big mistakes. I've made big mistakes long ago when I was, not nearly as savvy as I am now. And I think anybody, if they're honest, most people would say that they've made some big mistakes as well. But also the point that, okay, well, what if the price of HEX comes back and it's made whole again? Then you're kind of like rewarding that on top of the holding strategy that makes this coin, that makes certain parts of investing profitable. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know I've seen like people getting really angry about it, but I can see kind of both sides of it. I just tend to side on, I've made mistakes and so many other people have. Why bail people out? Especially we had a bailout today of, college, student loans and stuff going around the courts. Not to get political, but that was dumb. But thoughts on that?
So let me first remind everyone that like what other people do with their money is like whatever, they can do whatever the hell they want with their money. Let me first remind people of that. So if you're gonna get all like butthurt about it, like, hey, people can, like, just like that dude bought the fucking top, this other dude can blow his money on super dumb shit and make somebody whole that maybe doesn't deserve it or whatever, or whatever they want to, like that's other people's, if you want to go, I fuck their wallets and shit, that's on you. But like, you can't be upset with people for, spending their money however they want to, that's, so like, I hear both sides of it too. I understand that, like, in general, I don't think it's a tactic that teaches lessons. But although on the other hand, I'm sure that this dude has had to sit there for what, the better part of 2 years plus now, down significantly, you know, and feeling that lesson. So like, I'm not saying that he hasn't like learned it. I'm sure he has. I'm sure he's not going to listen to RG3 for investment advice in that next cycle around, you know. But again, I don't like, I understand where people get upset about it and like why they feel like it sends a bad message. But again, we're also trying to onboard no coiners and highlight our community as you know, so warm, inviting, and something that like takes, you know, like cares about people that care about the community. And this dude Mikey did, you know, put himself and his family and everybody on center stage for this movie. And I'm sure it was, you know, the timing and everything like that was inopportune, you know. So like, again, do I think that everybody needs a bailout? Absolutely not. Financially, it doesn't make sense. Do I think that this dude needs a bailout? I don't even know if he does, because like everyone's fucked his wallets to see that like most of that HEX that he had, he sacrificed for Pulse, and he's not even down. I mean, he's down like half on his investment, but it's not like it's not there, you know. Like, and not only that, but like if you were him and you really needed that money for over a week, not even a month and a half ago, we were at 2.5x sacrifice rate. You could have sold that and been up, gotten your money. He could have gotten his money back and still had 25K or so left of Pulse, you know. So like it would be down to 10 or something like that now. But like nonetheless, I mean, he would still be in the game and be made whole, and he had that opportunity, you know. So like I it's really tough for me to be totally okay with it because he's had opportunities, you know. But at the same time, I'm definitely not going to like take some giant stand either way about it and get all butthurt that somebody wants to waste their money on somebody else, you know. I mean, charity is a thing, and people do dumb things for charity all the time, or good things, or whatever they think is good, as helpful. I mean, you know, so, and like I said, I get the idea of wanting to promote, you know, our community's good nature to other people that are freshly seeing him in this movie and everything else, for you to walk out of there and be like, dog, that guy is so screwed, and be like, no, actually the community made him whole, he's not totally screwed. Oh, that's pretty cool. You know, that makes people leave the situation with a little bit better taste in their mouth than oh yeah, if you get involved in this, which we're telling you is a good idea, you might end up with your wife super pissed at you and no money in your bank. You know, that's not exactly a good message takeaway either. So like, I mean, I like you. I want to play neutral on this one and be like, I hear both sides of it. If somebody comes to me and is asking for me to invest in a fund to make him whole, or to donate to something to make him whole, you're barking up the wrong tree. That won't be happening. But like, I'm also not here to, you know, get very angry at other people for how they want to spend their money.
Well said. Well said. Any other takes from the panel?
I just have one question. One question only.
If you asked the question I was going to ask, Brandon, I'm going to be pissed. But
it's going to be weird. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. All right. So has anybody talked to Mikey?
I mean, RG3 has talked to Mikey, but I have not personally.
Yes. Here's my thing. With every good deed, it's rarely 100% altruistic. Okay. And we're talking about Twitter here, which is a dumpster fire for not altruism. So my question is, I don't even know who the HEX Scout people are, first and foremost. Okay. And nobody talked to Mikey. I've not seen him. Like you said, you talked to him, but I'm saying publicly, who are we to assume that he's frustrated or pissed off or upset in the first place? Right. So in my opinion, you know, sure, the things that you said, Big K, are absolutely valid. It's like if people come snooping and somebody wants to interview him after this video comes out and they say, how do you feel about this horrible XYZ? Oh, well, they gave me $8,000 worth of HEX and then at 20X. So I got my money back and actually I'm better right now. Okay, that's cool. But why did this have to be known on Twitter? Why do you do that? And it's, in my opinion, knowing the Twitter game, it's an obvious marketing play. in my opinion. For HEX Scout, I don't know who they are. I'm not throwing shade, but that's what it screams to me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I mean, and that's the thing is that, again, like, that's where I'm at, where, like, if those are the kind of values he's trying to put out, and that's the type of marketing he's trying to do, and he thinks that that's positive for his brand or whatever they're creating, I'm not over here going to be like, fuck you for wasting money on what you think is the advertising dollars. It's not the route that I would choose at all, you know. But again, and yeah, you're right. Talking to the guy and getting some insight on where he's at it and all this would help a lot too. So
yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I think I'm going to drop a donation address for a Mikey Has a Better Fence Than Me fund, because I saw that damn video, and I don't care if he's renting or not. That's a nicer house than I got, so he doesn't need $4,000. I'm sorry. And then I think the question nobody's asking is, why did they send eHEX? It was eHEX, right?
pHEX.
Was it pHEX?
I thought it was pHEX.
All right. I thought it was eHEX, and I was going to say that's a problem in itself right there. And, you know, why not Pulse? Why didn't you send PulseX, Scout? Or maybe some Pepe or something. I don't know, man. Whatever, you know.
That's a nice segue into our last little segment here. So with the highest of stakes looming and Big K smiling away, and we have seen like a little pump in, you know, eHEX, and all the eHEX skins are throwing insults and barbs, and then it'll come back and pHEX skins will, you know, stomp them down and whatnot. I envision this at some point. It'll go back and forth. How does the launch affect one side versus the other? Does eHEX perform better because of the easier access and potential noobs seeing this in theaters, more importantly, I guess, on a streaming service in the coming months, maybe down the road, see that? Or is there enough mention of PulseChain or hinted at, or will people research Richard Hart and the ecosystem enough to go to that version of HEX? So I guess the short version of the question is, do we think eHEX could actually outperform pHEX in the short term, or is pHEX just going to maintain its premium from here out?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that, honestly. I mean,
no one does. That's why it's a fun question to ponder.
If we get a lot more eyeballs on the project and a bunch more people interested in it, then I imagine that everything relatively does well. I mean, people will want to buy whatever seems like a good deal. I liked that. I like that sine wave graph that I think it was Dipcatcher that posted recently, where it was like, this could be eHEX pHEX, and it just like does like a back and forth, you know, thing. I thought that'd be fun. I'd love to see them, you know, it stick around and go back and forth, or have reasons to. I don't know. I think that you know, most people, if I was a noob buying and I heard the PulseChain is the new thing and the brand new token that's, you know, out, that hasn't done a 10,000x yet, I personally, that'd be the one I'd be buying, you know. But, you know, knowing nothing about the system or anything else. But I don't know. It's a good question.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I'm going to think of it from a technical side, of course, right? So from what I can tell, there's more liquidity in pHEX. So even if the same amount of money came into both, I think the price would go up more on the eHEX side. I do think you run up into an issue of how do people know that PulseChain exists? How do they initially buy it? And I think, unfortunately, I don't know a lot of them. I mean, I don't know that a Telegram chat is shilled at the end of the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I don't know how they're going to get in there. And then if people just go and type HEX, they're going to buy Ethereum HEX, unfortunately.
The movie people, the Patrick and them were asking for clips of people, you know, reacting to PulseChain's launch and stuff, and I haven't seen the full finished version yet. So there may be some PulseChain stuff at the end. I think, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so But I'm deducing from what the asks that they had a couple months ago.
Yeah, liquidity is probably.
But yeah, you're right. The liquidity is interesting. That's probably a good indicator. And the other thing that's interesting too is there's still somebody projects with 600, 700, 800 million or so eHEX that were just handed over to them too, sitting around.
Yeah.
So it's hard to there's some other things to think about. There's things to think about along the way.
I was gonna say, and they're selling. They come up in like a few weeks or something like that. So
yeah,
I've got no doubt in my mind that here's what we have to understand. When you start out in crypto, and I want all you guys to think about when you got into DeFi, and it was probably with Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain, you probably stayed on that one chain for years before you started feeling comfortable enough to venture out. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday where I had to walk him through using the bridge. And his quote was, this is really, really difficult. And I've been around for a while. Okay. So with that said, let's just, for example, take the documentary. We put it out there. eHEX is still better than 99.9% or 100% of projects out there, as good or better. And what I would say is if people see HEX, they're just going to quickly search for where they can buy it, grab the contract address and buy it on Ethereum. In a bull market, everything pumps. The most horrible thing out there pumps, and eHEX is not the most horrible thing out there. And in a way, the biggest advantage are the people that know how to use the bridge, because they get to play both sides of the fence here during the bull market. And the unfortunate reality of this is a lot of the new people on the Ethereum side are going to be exit liquidity for a lot of the people on the PulseChain side, in my opinion. But it's going to run hard. Make no mistake about it. It's going to run hard. It's going to run with the market. There's going to be a lot of money to be made on the Ethereum side. For certainly for HEX, in my opinion.
I like to hear that. Sounds good.
I think a lot of people like to hear that. So, well, that's a nice little bow on it, because the highest of stakes was, I guess, the highest of stakes for eHEX in the beginning, and now we have two of HEX. We complete the circle, talking about the highest stakes in the beginning and talking about what could happen, and perhaps a tease from Big K. We don't know. We have to go to the theater and find out if there's a PulseChain tease there or not. But we'll be looking forward to that. Big K, as we close this out, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me here. You can find me on Telegram and Twitter at Big Kurkowski. You can find me at the movie theaters on August 4th and 5th, where I hope everyone else is, to see the highest of stakes. That's that. You'll find me back here next week. I think I'm doing some other interviews in the near future. There's something on Monday at 10 a.m. A group of us are doing something. I can't remember with who, but you can look for me there. And that's it. That's that. I'm sure I'll be doing some other notable interviews along the way here too.
Steve Hitson, where can we find you?
Well, I might unhide all my videos. I don't know. I'm debating it on YouTube, but ultimately Twitter is where you can find me right now. I really like free speech, and so I'm having a hard time supporting YouTube right now, and that's just my take on it. Love them, but Twitter at Steve Hitson right there on the screen. I'm gonna try to keep 3 or 4 threads coming out a week, and just technical stuff that I know and that I can see, and I don't mind sharing all my data with everybody. So
boom,
that's where
Rags,
I'm at.
Before this thing closes out, quickest exit go.
Quickest exit go. The end.
Done.
Those two
all right,
words.
Jed. Follow Rags on Twitter.
Yeah. Hey, one
Oh,
quick.
Don't follow him. He doesn't even like followers.
Do not like,
Don't
comment, or
follow
subscribe.
followers.
Here's what I do have to say, guys. I'm taking what I've been preaching. I want to create a news network for PulseChain, and I'm starting with a newsletter. It's called dollarriot.com. I recently featured Maddie's Time Pays Me in very extreme detail. If there's anybody out there with protocols that wants to be featured on this thing, it's absolutely free, and I'm just going to blast it out. I've got a good amount of subscribers already. So dollarriot.com, it's really pushed this out into the world. A really solid newsletter. Thanks, guys.
Boom. Thank you, everybody. This battery's about to die. See you next week, everybody.
Cabana.
Cheers.
Be good.
Bye, everyone.